Anyone that has played during the launch and beginning phases of any massive online RPG will have recollection of economic chaos. These are for MMOs that have lived and died, whether they've had any measures of success or not. In the beginning, people are still leveling, and even with today's various guides out there, there's just not enough of an overall consensus on what is valuable and what is not. The dilemma does not exclude people who are already at level 60. As a matter of fact, it may just trouble them the most. If you think a gold-making guide for New World at this stage is going to make a difference, well, maybe. In the short term. Because the quests, while generous in their gold offering, do run out eventually, and from what I can gather on the forums, the dailies don't exactly suffice when you're faced with the incredible costs you see at cap level, whether it's related to maintenance for your gear, or the overwhelming taxes resulting from housing. What adds to the pricing dilemma is the fact that trades aren't global, but rather localized. You may end up with the need to travel from one settlement to the next to get to the item that you're looking for. So, if the match, for example, were a recipe that is located in Monarch Bluff and you're situated in Windsward, that requires travel time. Obviously, these two locations aren't exactly the furthest apart, but it doesn't take a lot of imagination to get to what I'm trying to say. Just imagine being at the other end of the map. People will be quick to say war queues, they're a steady source of income. But it's not something that everyone gets the chance to be a part of. Companies spend a lot of time organizing their ranks for this event, and depending on the server, they may seldom ask for outsiders to take part. It's not impossible, but it does hinge on a bit of luck to be a part of it. You'll find a plethora of threads about this topic on the game's forums, but I'm not gonna lie, this is actually exciting for me. Because this is very similar to the scarcity you'd expect from a civilization that is now settling into a continent, and with trading being localized to settlements and not global, makes me wonder just how that'll affect the general outlook on PvP. Because when you think about it, in a situation like that in real life, there is bound to be some contest, some competition between the settlers. Will the economy somehow factor into future decisions on what territories, companies, and factions will choose to fight over? It's so hard to predict, because I still can't find any viable method to gauge economic data from a top-level view to say anything. Everything about the gaming experience is anecdotal at this stage. But the thought of all of this is so bewildering and fascinating at the same time, and I can't help but speculate. Somebody will probably say, wait till Outpost Rush is enabled, but that's still PvP. Players motivated by PvE, on the other hand, may find reasons to be concerned. But if you're somebody who's been gathering mats, fishing, keeping up your craft, it is generally sound to say that you'll be fine in the long run, although you may struggle a bit. It's all worth noting that people who are currently at peril from these concerns are usually those who've rushed their way to 60, presumably with little attempts to gather resources on the way to level cap. It'll be interesting to see how the economy evolves past these hurdles, and I'm going to bank on the idea that it will, not because AGS needs to intervene, but because economic consensus is too much of an organic phenomenon to happen overnight. And just for reference, ask for people who were part of the early phase of Asheron's Call, one of the oldest major MMOs that we know of. There wasn't much of an economy back then, at least in the sense that we know how economy or virtual economy works. What Asheron's Call had was trading. An item of great value drops. Players traded for motes and shards. These weren't currencies per se, but they were items that everybody coveted. And if you think there was a trade channel for this, well, not really. It was actually on the forum. We're just players marching around in Arwick yelling in caps. It was fundamentally bartering, the oldest form of exchange in the book. This wasn't something that happened in 2 weeks. It's all about the game's systems and its player base coming to terms with what is referred to as the perfect information. It means everybody knows the price of the items and the quality it offers. Primal Life, back in the original Burning Crusade, sold somewhere around 80 gold a stack and then some back in my day. You play Burning Crusade Classic, it'll roughly be around 12 to 24 gold a stack. Everybody knows how easy it is to farm them now, and everybody knows what professions really benefit from this. In other words, the key component here is intrinsic value. And I think that's the main issue in New World, and not necessarily the handicaps of its trading channels. Not enough people yet know what intrinsic values of certain items are. Heck, I don't think anyone knows what is considered a lot of gold in New World. 50,000 gold? 500,000 gold? A million? What about 10 million? What's easy to farm? What's not easy to farm? How far do you have to travel to get it? Maybe X is cheaper in Area A than B because Area A has a lot of them. Some people have no problem staying up to farm X. It comes easy to them. Some people don't. That means the former can charge the latter. This is how economy works, and New World is too new for us to say anything. One thing I'll give credit to is the idea that is being mentioned in this economy discussion. It's how Amazon Gaming Studios can take inspiration from EVE Online or Albion. It isn't a far-fetched idea for them to introduce maps similar to Black Zones, where PvP is a permanent hazard, in exchange for being able to loot victims. Dungeons are much more rewarding, although you can get jumped by outsiders during the process. And I'm sure there's a way to balance things for PvE. Maybe you can sponsor people with credible stats in PvP to go and get your loots, the same way merchants and rich lords sponsored wars in the old days. That'd be pretty cool. What do you think? Isn't it too early for us to be pessimistic about the economy as right now? Let me know in the comment section.